Good day, everybody, and welcome to Sparkles of Love's Transmission, episode 45. My name is Ana-La-Rai, and I am a universal channel, and I bring through some of the newest messages and information for the spiritual awakening, as well as very high vibrations of love and source energy. And I come forward here with Sparkles of Love to help you move faster in your spiritual journey with more grace and more ease. And today, what I want to talk about, what I want to talk about is your crystals, which we've been doing a lot of. I'm going to show you this one here. And we're going to talk about cleansing and clearing your crystals. Now, a few weeks ago, I did do a session just on crystals in general, but I really wanted to talk about the importance of keeping your crystals clean and how to do that. So today we're going to look at 9 different ways that you can clean and clear your crystals and why it's important to do that and how to do that. So if you like my videos, please push the like and subscribe button, and then you'll get notified. And as well, I've been doing a lot of YouTube shorts, and so check out the short videos. And the last whole series of them have been messages from crystals. So, all right. So, why do you need to clean crystals? People have asked me that. Why? My crystal looks fine. It doesn't look dirty to me. And you have to remember that crystals, no matter what kind you've got there, hold energy, right? And we use them as tools. And we talked previously about all the different ways you can use crystals, but crystals are energy tools. And to me, they're living. I think of crystals as being alive. I know lots of people don't, but I see them as living energy. And the crystals hold energy, and they never judge whether the energy they're holding is positive or negative. They're just holding energy. So you want to make sure that your crystals are holding positive, clear, good energy for you, right? Because you don't want to have crystals in your space that hold negative energy or low vibrational energy, because that can impact you personally, right? And that's why if you're using crystals as energy tools, like you see over here, I can never get which way to point. When you see over here, they're all over our house, and we use them to help hold the energy, right? So you want them to always hold the strongest and best energy that they can for you. So sometimes you'll pick up a crystal and it feels off, or it just feels yucky. And that's usually not in your house, that's probably in a store. And so it's picked up some negative energy, right? It's just not very happy. And if you keep your crystals clean and cleansed, they work better for you. It's easier for them to hold when you clean them occasionally. Okay. So that's the why. But when should you clean your crystals? And it's kind of interesting. The first thing I would say is that whenever you buy a new crystal or bring a new crystal into your home, you should always cleanse it. So I'm going to interchange the words clean and cleanse, because when I say clean, I mean energetically. So when you bring a new crystal home and you're all excited to have it, you want to cleanse it, because you want to bring and set the energies for you, or have the crystal just be charged with the highest vibration rather than what it was charged with in the store. You don't know if this particular crystal came from China. You don't know how many people have touched it. How many hands have been on it, from the people who mined it, to the people who graded it, to who maybe polished it or cut it, to all the buyers in between and the people who put it out in the store. It could be literally hundreds of energies that have gone into that crystal, right? And every time in a store that somebody picked it up and looked at it and went, oh, do I like it? No, I don't want it. Or maybe they were having a bad day, the person who was working in the store, and that energy went in the crystals. So whenever you buy a crystal, always bring it home and cleanse it. Okay. If you've been in having, I'll call it emotional events. So you've been upset, you've been angry, maybe you've been depressed, maybe you've been hurt, maybe you've been sick, and your crystals have been helping you, then you want to, when you're feeling better, you want to cleanse them, right? Because they're holding some of that energy. So you want, that's always a good time. Um, if you've been using your crystals to work with clients, some of you work with clients and you use crystals, then I would cleanse them weekly then at that point. Um, I depending on who it is in your home, if somebody else people don't realize that when you have crystals out in your home that they're sacred or that they're energetically attuned or aligned. So they just see them as pretty objects. And so some people will come into your house and just start picking up your crystals. Now, most people in our house, other than the kids that visit, know that you don't do that or they'll ask. But if you're in a space or you share a space with other people in your house and other people are picking them up a lot and their energy might not be great, then if they've been picked up a lot by other people, you want to cleanse them. Maybe you went to an event and you brought some crystals out and put them on your table at a fair or something. Definitely want to cleanse them because all kinds of energies would have been picked up. And I think the other time I would clean them, well, I kind of do them sort of intentionally on a monthly basis. Um, but if I'm using any of them and doing any clearing, so if I'm working on clearing something for me and I'm holding a crystal or I'm sitting with a crystal, then I want to clear it after so that I can recharge the energy. Okay. And as we go along, if you want to have any questions, please write them in and welcome everybody. Glad you're here. So there are, I know of 9 different ways to clear and cleanse your crystals. I don't know if one is better than the other. Work with what works for your space, for you, what feels the most aligned for you. So I'm going to go through all the different ones and maybe you can tell me which ones you've tried before. I haven't even done all of these, but I know they work. So, one thing that some people do is they use smudge. Now, this is someone gifted me this. This is a huge smudge. So, this might be sage. There's a different sweetgrass. There's a whole bunch of different things you use for smudge. You can usually get them in metaphysical stores. Of course, I'm not going to burn it here in the office because I don't want the smell in here. And you can just take them. The nice thing is here, I could just go up and down my rows back here of crystals. So smudge, if you have a lot of crystals, is an easy way to do it, right? And when you're doing many of these different ways, you can set an intention. So as you're smudging, you might want to say something like, I release any energies held in this crystal that no longer serve, right? So you're setting your intentions that the crystals be cleared. So you don't have to have one this big. um, but smudge is a good way, especially if you have a lot of crystals. Okay. And has anybody smudged their crystals before? I smudged my house. I have smudged spaces, but I haven't used smudge for crystals. But I do know that the crystals like it, and it's an easy one to do. Okay, yeah, Monica has. Okay. So, another easy one to do when you have a lot of crystals is sound. And I'm going to show you a few different things. So, again, here in our house or in my office here, these are koshi chimes and they're beautiful sound. And I'm going to set my intention again as I'm walking around and I'm going like this in the shelves and over the crystals. Okay. So, it's an easy one to do. So that's the koshis. Another sound one are Tibetan bells. And this is generally what they look like. Some people do them like this. And some people do it where they hold one sideways. So you can do your room, you can do shelves, Okay. But Tibetan bells, this is what they look like, are another good way with sound. And singing bowls. Some of you have crystal ones. This particular one is a brass singing, and I'm really bad at these. Okay, so and you usually have a mallet of some sort, and you now this usually sits on a little. And see, I told you this. I can. There we go. I'm not very good at these. So, but singing bowls is another way to do the room, the crystals, people. Okay, the energy, the sound. You can use your voice. You can sing or tone. Okay. Um, Other people use a tuning fork. Okay. So sound can help clear or cleanse your crystals. Okay. Um, One I use a lot, and that's because I live by the ocean, is very often when Chris and I are doing a layout or we buy new crystals, we take them down to the ocean and we dip them in. Now, you have to be careful if there's a strong current because the ocean will poof, grab it and pull it out. So sometimes I have it in a gauze bag, sometimes they're in my hands and I'm really holding on to them. But cleansing them in the ocean, a river, or a lake, so living fresh water, living water is another simple way to do it. Um, I know when we go to the gathering in Mexico, we always take all the crystals that are going to be used in the altar and we take them down to the ocean and we cleanse them in the ocean before we put them into the altar. Um, so would Tibetan bowls work too? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's all kinds of different bowls like that. So ocean, river, or lake. Now remember, not all your crystals can go in the water. So if it's something that's really porous or anything like selenite, anything that can dissolve, I wouldn't put them in the water. Okay. I'd be more apt to put something like this in the water or quartz or amethyst or something I know I'm not worried about it getting wet. Okay. Um, so that's one, and you can visualize when you're putting it in the water that everything that isn't for its highest good is just washing away, all that old energy, just washing away. Um, the one I call on the most is actually this weekend is the full moon. And the full moon energies are great because they can help cleanse your crystals, but they also supercharge them with new energies. So it kind of does a dual purpose often. And you can do an intention that they be cleared and charged. And you can say an intention, when you set them. You can either, depending on where you live and the weather, you can put them outside if you only have a few. I wouldn't work here, as you can tell. Nope, this way, as you can tell. And but you can also put them in the windowsills, okay? Um, s- so that the full moonlight, the light of the moon comes on them. Sometimes I've put some out on the deck. I've done it in windows. I have actually in the summer when I used to live in a different part of the island, I would put a whole bunch of them out on the table in the moonlight. So depending on how many crystals you have, that works. Sometimes what I do is I set the intention on the full moon that all the moonlight comes in. So all the blinds and windows are opened on the full moon or are available for the moonlight to pour in. And that's one I find I really like. Okay. Um, Now, another one I've seen is if it is really, really charged negatively, like you've used it in a way to clear something really big, or it feels really yucky, or it's just off, or something has gone really wrong, then you can bury it in the earth and the earth energies will clear it. And it's recommended anywhere between 24 and 72 hours. So you want to bury it on your own property. If you have property, you don't want to be burying it someplace where somewhere else will find it because you could lose it. And So burying it in the earth is a possibility. Again, setting your intention. Have I ever done that? Oh, maybe once years ago, but I never intended to pull them out of the earth. It was something that was so charged negatively that I just didn't want it in my space anymore. So, and it wasn't appropriate that it be given away to someone else because I don't want to pass that kind of energy around. Um, Another one, which I have not used, but I know works, is Himalayan sea salt in salt. So they say several hours. You can put again. You're probably only doing if you're doing it in salt. You're probably only doing like little crystals, right? Not great big things. And you can put it in a bath of salt, right? And just let the salt cleanse it again using your intention. But then you have to make sure that you're now getting rid of that salt, right? That you're not reusing it because the energy will go into the salt, and certainly you're not going to use it for cooking or anything like that. So salt is another one that you can use for cleansing. And again, it depends if you live in a house, if you live in a condominium, if you're on a boat, how many crystals you have and where you're living all make a difference, and what kind of crystals. So another one you can use, and this I use a little more for charging rather than cleansing, is the sunlight. Right here, it's really sunny today, and right now in our backyard, in the last week, we've had big pieces of smoky quartz that have been under our bed for a long time that really wanted like recharged and revived. And we had a friend had two smoky quartz that she'd bought at a crystal fair, so they were out there. And then we had a great big piece like this of selenite that was a gift for to us, and it wanted to be back outside for a while. So some of the crystals will want to be out in the sunlight, and it really seems to recharge them. That's what it feels like to me. And you could set your intention once again. I ask that the sunlight energies release anything that isn't for the highest good of this crystal or anything that doesn't serve. And I ask that it be fully charged. Okay. Anybody put stuff out in the sunlight? Anybody else? Yeah, it's an easy one. And it's like the crystals just love it out there. Um, Yeah. So Paula says, I have at times run a crystal under the water at the sink to clear them or possibly recharge them. So that doesn't work the same because it's not living water. So running it under the sink will might clean it if it's dusty, but I wouldn't use tap water or you really it needs the living water. So a river, ocean, maybe a lake. Okay. So that's one that because there's too much has happened to our tap water. Okay, yeah, so other people have done it. So another one that I guess I've used unintentionally, and I'm just trying to see if I can see some. No. So that great big one that was outside I was just telling you about is this big as selenite. Well, you can purchase or uh and just have around you. You can get selenite platforms apparently, like just a little slab of selenite. And selenite is a crystal that never needs recharging, or never needs cleansing, and it will also clear the crystals around it. So the funny thing is we've had this big piece of selenite and then it just automatically clears everything sitting near it. So throughout your house, or you can always put crystals for clearing around selenite. We have a big log of selenite, but we use that under our TV and PVR system to neutralize the energies. So it should probably get stuck outside again soon and in the sunshine. But selenite, you can do it overnight, or you can just put them beside a piece of selenite. Okay. And it just helps clear everything. But I would give it at least overnight, maybe 24 hours, depending on how the crystal feels. And then the last way that I have, and then maybe some of you, if you have anything else you do, is through and sometimes you just can't do any of the ones we've talked about, right? You it might be where you live, but more importantly, it might be the type of crystal you have. So certain crystals, they don't want to be outside. They are fragile, or they're too porous. They can dissolve in the rain, and or maybe you have tiny tiny points on them that you're afraid are going to break, so you don't want to handle a lot. So what you can do in that instance is you can hold the crystal, okay? And you want to visualize divine light. So I'm just going to visualize all this pure source divine light coming down around and over the crystal. And I might make an intention or a statement. I ask that this crystal be cleansed of all the energies that no longer serve. And I ask that this crystal be recharged with the highest vibrations of love. And what's happening is I'm visualizing that this crystal is releasing. I'm imagining or visualizing this white light from source coming down, this divine love into the crystal. Okay. So that is another easy way to do it. Okay. So the same thing. I could hold this up. Now I don't want any of the points to break on this. And there's all kinds of little crystals on the bottom too, you can see. So this one I don't want to move around a lot. So I could just put my hand on it on the shelf or pick it up. And again, I ask that pure white source divine light come down and cleanse this crystal. So as I'm holding this, I'm getting a message to share with everybody. So this is what we call a Vancouver Island forest crystal. And unfortunately, the mine has been closed. But we were able to get some while they were still functioning. And when you can find crystals near where you live that are brought out with love out of the earth, the energy of them is very different. So this crystal, this beautiful little family, and it's epidite, I think is this, oh, if I remember correctly, this, no, it might not be the, which is the black in the quartz. So I live on Vancouver Island. Christian and I live on Vancouver Island, and in another spot on Vancouver Island in north, um, some three gentlemen were out, and they were doing tree planting one summer, and they saw some sparkling stuff on the ground. Well, what it turns out over time is it was these crystals, and they found a couple of vugs, and they had permission to go in and pull them out and mine them, and they're just magical because the three guys who I've met, all of them, and had the pleasure of getting to know them, and they love the crystals, and so it was, they were mined by hand with joy and excitement, and they cleaned them up that way really gently, and they just loved all these crystals. So when I bought them, they'd only been held by two or three people, maybe all three of the guys, maybe only one of them. And so the energy, when you can buy a crystal that hasn't come from a long way away, that has come out of the earth because someone who loves the crystals, it's so much clearer. It just is so magnificent. And yeah, you might still be able to get one or two. I don't know if they have any points left at all, but yeah, forest crystals here from Vancouver Island. And eventually, if the mine's ever opened up again, I'll let people know. But I think it's on First Nations land, and I think the band leader chose, the previous band leader allowed them to do it, and they supported the band in that way. And the next band leader said no. So I don't know how that goes. But it was wonderful that so many of them came out of the earth when they did. All right. So, what I want you to remember is that cleansing your crystals is an energetic reset. but it's also good self-care for you because you want the crystals around you, surrounded by you, bright and happy and holding the best energy. Okay. You can also call on your guides when you're doing this and ask them to help you. You can use affirmations or prayers and gratitude because all of those energies can help the crystals hold, can help the crystals be at a higher vibration or supporting you. So if you have any questions, let me just scan this about the crystals or how to cleanse them or why you should, let me know here. Just go ahead and write in. And I will just let you know that the full moon is this weekend. So if you're listening to this here on August 7th or 8th or even 9th, you can use the full moon to clear your crystals. And I'll also let you know that every full moon, I do a session, a recorded session that we call Advanced Opportunities, where the guides come through and bring through some of the newest and highest vibrational information and processes and tools. And this Saturday, we are doing the full moon advanced opportunity session, and it's called Holding Your Peace. But it's both pieces, Piece, and peace, Peace. So it's about your own piece of work and being in peace. And so that's going to be at 8 a.m. No, it's not going to be at night. It's going to be at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning because I had plans. And the full moon energies will be right there. And then if you can't join us at that time Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific, then we'll send you out the recording, usually within an hour or so. All right. Well, I thank you so much for your attention and being here. I really enjoy doing these for you, and I'm open to your ideas if there's things you want to know. Next week, I'm going to look at what is karma. And oh, thank you, Monica. I'm going to do what is karma. And the week after that, I'm going to talk about what does divine guidance look like? How do I know I'm getting divine guidance? All right. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next Thursday. And just keep an eye out for my crystal videos. Unfortunately, I did them horizontal the last 5, so they aren't showing up in shorts. They're here under regular videos, but there's another series of crystal videos coming out. Bye for now.